Hello, welcome to this evening of meditation and music. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we've got a wonderful experience lined up for this evening. This is a program about Sahaja Yoga, meditation, and music, and we're going to have an experience of a live music session by a wonderful musician later in the program. Sahaja Yoga is a very simple form of meditation. And the wonderful thing about music is that it provides an easy way to cause meditation to happen. So meditation is not a thing we do. It's a thing that it's a state that we're in, and music helps us get to that state. It provides a connection with the subtle being, the subtle system within us. It's a way of enhancing our system within us without focusing, without using our brain. And it's a way of connecting with reality, the reality that's often hidden underneath all of the material world that we live in. And this music is a way to make that direct connection. Those of us who've practiced Sahaja Yoga for some time know that the notes of the music correspond and relate to the different energy centers within us, and they have an effect on our inner being. And Indian classical music is particularly effective in that way. The notes resonate with the chakras and create a state of meditation, and that's what we're aiming for. And so this evening we're going to have a meditation experience first, so that we're in a good state to get the maximum benefit from the live music performance that's going to happen later in the program. So we are very fortunate to have a wonderful musician who's going to play for us this evening. Excuse me. Steve Day is a professional musician, storyteller. He's an award-winning composer, and he plays an amazing instrument called the sarod. And this evening we'll ask him to tell us a bit more about that instrument. He has dedicated his whole life to music, and with the guidance of the founder of Sahaja Yoga, Sri Mataji, he's built his whole career nowadays playing Indian classical music on the sarod. So let's begin and get ready for the meditation experience. I just should have introduced myself. I'm Alan Richards. I've been practicing this Sahaja Yoga for many decades, since the late 70s, and I've obviously it's been a major part of almost all my life, and it's definitely helped me. It's in some ways it's helped in the typical ways that you would expect from meditation. It improves your health, it gives you balance, it helps resolve any tensions. It's a way to relieve stress, to deal with the typical stress that comes from our life, from our work. It's unavoidable, but it's great to know that there's something you can do for yourself, which is all your own. It's all built within you, that you can use to help you get through stress. And at a deeper level, it gives that answer that we're all looking for. And what are we doing in life? Why are we here? What's our purpose? And is there anything behind it all? Is there any reason for where we are? And for me and for many others, Sahaja Yoga has provided that answer. So Sahaja Yoga is now practiced in hundreds of countries, almost all over the world, by thousands of people. So I'm going to get ready to share my screen again, and we'll go through the We'll go through the meditation experience. So for this, In case there's anybody here who's come for the very first time, this is a very simple meditation exercise, and really the participant is not required to do anything. You just need to sit comfortably. You can sit on a chair, you can sit on the floor. If you should be comfortable, you shouldn't be straining or uncomfortable. You can, if you're sitting on a chair, place your feet on the ground, on the Mother Earth. That helps the meditation. And I'll explain what we need to do as we go through the meditation exercise. You don't need to focus. You don't need to make any effort. You don't need to concentrate. It's just more of a matter of being open and treat it like an experiment. Treat it like, let's see if this is going to do any good for me. So give me a minute and I'll share my screen. Okay. Sorry, working on this. Excuse me, I'll do this again. Okay. Sorry about that. We're there now. So just a few words about the founder of Sahaja Yoga. Srimataji Nirmala Devi started Sahaja Yoga in 1970, and after she began that, she had spent her time traveling the world, having programs, sometimes with a whole football stadium full of people, explaining this new discovery, a very simple method of meditating and making that connection, the yoga. Sahaja means inborn, yoga, it means a connection. So this is the same goal that's been talked about with yoga, but Sahaja Yoga is a very simple method built within us. It's not something you can study for. It's not something you can pay for. All Sahaja Yoga programs are always free. And this is the unique discovery that Srimataji brought. The benefits of meditation, we all know, improves your health and well-being, improves your relationships with work, with family, reduces stress, and generally brings us back into the state that we ought to be. And when meditation occurs, we have a gap in our thoughts. It's like we're alert and aware. We're not in any kind of trance, but our mental activity subsides, and that's when you're in meditation, and that's what we're aiming for. And this is a diagram of the subtle system within us. We won't go into great detail on this tonight, but there are 3 channels and 7 energy centers called chakras. Each of the chakras relates to certain functions in the body, but also has emotional aspects to it, and also are part of our spiritual makeup, as shown in these chakras. So as I mentioned, when you're meditating, when you're in meditation, it's a state of being connected that you may recognize from childhood, of just enjoying without analyzing or thinking or categorizing things, being engrossed in something. I remember when I was a small boy, we had a closet in the house where there was some woodworking things, and I loved to go in there and just hammer nails and so just enjoy it. And that's the sort of state that you get into. You may often experience it out in nature. It's not any kind of trance. Actually, you're more alert and aware. So when I was hammering the piece of wood in the closet, I was fully focused because I didn't want to hit my thumb with the hammer. but just in a state of enjoyment, being present, being in the moment. And what gets in the way of this, or what develops as we become, from children, we become adults, that our mind is always thinking, our brain is churning, we're thinking about the past, we're thinking about the future, we're sucked into material desires, looking for satisfaction, looking for validation as an ego gratification, feeling that we are something, and seeking attention. So all of those things are obstacles, and particularly thinking is very hard to turn off. And this is how Sage Yoga can help expand that gap in the thoughts to a longer period. And it happens through regular practice. At first, it may be just a few minutes, and then with regular practice, a few minutes of meditation every day, we can stretch it out to longer periods. So let's begin this meditation exercise. So sit comfortably. You can close your eyes if you like, or you can keep your eyes open, but I'm going to explain the different steps that we're going to go through. So if you wish to close your eyes, you can. So the first step is put your right hand on your heart and keep your left hand resting on your lap with the palm upwards. And in this exercise, we're going to be just inside ourselves, saying prayers or expressing a desire, and we're addressing this energy that's within us called Kundalini, which is something that most Westerners are not familiar with, but people who grow up in India may have heard the term, but it's the dormant energy within us that makes the connection. So we're praying inside ourselves with our right hand on the heart, saying, I want to be connected to my true self. I want to be one with my spirit, and I want to have a heart that's full of love, compassion, and joy. So these are some of the qualities of this chakra, in the heart chakra. Love, compassion, and joy, and also courage and sense of security are all qualities of the. So let's just sit for a minute and try to keep our attention inside ourselves and focus on those qualities, and requesting, please let me be one with my spirit. Next, we'll move the right hand down to the left side of the abdomen, just level with the belly button. So the left hand is resting on the lap, the right hand is on the left-hand side of the abdomen. And for this center, the different qualities, we express a desire. I want positive change. I want to be a force of positive change. Please help me feel contented and satisfied. These are the qualities of this center, everything that sustains us, everything that fulfills all our needs. And the quality of peace, absolute stillness and peace, contentment, not desiring anything. Let's sit for silence for a few minutes. Focus on that center. And we move the right hand down a little further, down to just the top of the hip on the left-hand side. And here the prayers are, I want positive growth and positive attention. Please take away all negative thoughts, and please soothe my attention. Now we bring the right hand back onto the heart. Now we're making affirmations Please remove all fears, all insecurity, and all anxiety that's in me. Let me trust myself and my own abilities, and let me be a confident person. And then addressing this mother energy, this Kundalini energy within us. Please help me feel safe, protected, and loved. Now we take the right hand up onto the left shoulder. So it's just in the join between the shoulder and the neck. We can turn our head to the right a little bit. And this is the center that gets affected if we're feeling guilty. So, we are really our spirits. And so we can have no guilt associated with us. So just say, without thinking of anything, just say, I'm not guilty. I have pure self-esteem and self-respect. Just grip the shoulder between the neck and the shoulder. And lastly, the other quality of this center is, Mother, please give me the power of sweetness, sweetness of speech. Please give me time to show some grace to ourselves and to be kind and just to let go without feeling guilty. Now we move the right hand to the forehead, running across it, so that we're gripping our temples with our right hand. The left hand remains on the lap. We just lean our head to rest in our hand. And here the quality is forgiveness. So I forgive myself, I forgive everybody, I forgive anything that anyone has done to me, I forgive. So the last one, we take our right hand, place it right on top of our head. It's where babies have a soft spot, so right at that very apex of the head. And our right hand, if we can stretch our fingers back so that the palm of the hand, the skin is taut in the palm of the hand, just press that right onto the top of the head. This is the last chakra where the connection happens, where this self-realization occurs. So place the right hand on top of the head and just move the scalp. If you're looking down, it would be in a clockwise direction. So front and then right and then back and then left. Slowly, front, right, left, back. And the affirmation here is, please let me enjoy the state of thoughtless meditation. And just imagine you're inside yourself and you're putting your attention up onto that very top of the head. Now let's bring both hands down onto the lap, and we'll just sit quietly for a minute and just see if we feel anything inside ourselves. We feel anything on our hands, any sensations. Now you can take your right hand and place it just above the top of your head, just 1 inch or 2 inches above the top of your head, and see if you feel anything like a cool breeze or flow coming out of the top of the head. When all the chakras are in good state, then that's what you might feel, or it's very common to feel warmth or heat coming out at first. And you can put your right hand back on the lap and swap hands, put the left hand above your head. Okay, bring both hands to back down, and we're going to listen to a talk by the founder of Sahaja Yoga, Sri Mataji. And while we listen to that talk, and then later on while we listen to the music, we'll try to maintain the state of meditation. So I'm going to stop this share.
Mother, you said in text and hold that if a person doesn't speak to the mother for a long time, it affects that person. Can you elaborate on that theme again, please?
See, you are born from a mother, alright? You are not born hanging from a tree, or not, neither you are thrown from the heavens and suddenly you are found born on this earth. You are born from a mother. In her womb, her blood flows into you for 9 months. You live upon her. You are a part and parcel of her being for 9 months, which is the most important time of your life. Now, she is there to give you first the sense of security. In a mother's womb, a child feels secure. If the mother is upset, it has an effect on the child. If there's something wrong with her, then that is affected on the child. In the sense physically also. Such a deep relationship exists between you and your mother that I'll have to write a book to tell you how much it is deep. But within us, see, the power of Kundalini is the power of a mother and not of a father. The father is the witness as a spirit, and the mother is the Kundalini, and the Kundalini has to rise. Now it is the mother in you, that is the Kundalini, and your own mother. It very much depends what relationship you have with your own mother. Supposing you do not know how to love your mother, you can never love your mother country. You can never. See, that is the beginning. The training starts there with your mother. If that point is lacking, then you cannot have a full blooming of that love. Now maybe the mother has not been a very good mother. Possible. There are, according to the Sanskrit verse, as I told you, there cannot be a bad mother, Kumata, but sometimes she could be bad also. So the idea of a bad mother is more brought forth by intervention of law into mother-child relationship. You see, when mother is being punished by law for correcting her child or doing something, the artificiality starts. When people can sue their mothers, the responsibility of the law, you see, is not to disturb the natural relationships. If they start disturbing the natural relationship, the artificiality starts. And that's why the countries where the law has taken charge of children and such things, you see, without understanding the basic thing that it is a natural thing to love your child. Instead of that, if they had encouraged mothers who were more loving, more kind, if they had given training to mothers how to be kind and gentle, if they had given more impotence to people to be good mothers. Instead of having beauty contests, if they had good mother contests, if motherhood had been upheld by political and economic institutions, then it would have been much better. But the whole society is turning towards self-destruction. So the law first takes over, see. So the child is quite sure of itself, you see. Now an 18-year-old boy in the family gets the dough, right. Then he thinks no end of himself. He answers back his mother. He talks in a very rude manner to the mother. It's all right to say you have done it for an 18-year-old boy, but you don't know that he is the eldest boy. In the other children in the family follow him up. So they pick it up when they are even very young. The idea of giving money to boys at that age also is extremely harmful, because when he gets the money, the other children think they must also get some money. So they start charging mother for the work they are doing. We must pay 5p for bringing glass of water for the mother. Then the mothers now are of a different time. I mean, there are so many mothers who say that it is not a thing that we should love our children. It's not natural. Artificial has become natural and natural has become artificial. How is it within these 10 or 15 years suddenly the mothers have become so funny? Now, because of these pressures, what happens that we develop a feeling against our mother. We start judging our mother and father. We should never judge them. We are not to judge them, because they are there, we have chosen them, they are there just as part and parcel of ourselves. Supposing your nose is broken, do you start judging yourself, my nose is broken, my nose is broken? Do you discard your nose? In the same way your parents are. You cannot discard your parents. But the whole society is working like this. It's a vicious circle. Now if I say, you go and talk to your mother, then you can say that my mother is not a good person. She is this and that. Then I have to say, all right, then forgive her. Then you don't like it. You would expect me to tell you, all right, just go and bash her. You would be pleased if I tell you that. Some of you would. Go and beat her up. But I would not say that. Because that's not the way Sahajogi are going to work out. You must know that the whole society is in a whirlwind. It's a whirlwind. So somebody has to steady oneself and stop and try to change the winds. And that's why a Sahajogi has to stand up and understand that respect and reverence of parents is important. But it is an actual thing. Because if you are not good with your mother, your left side is weak. You have seen it on the vibration. Whatever I say, you can see it on your vibration. So forgive her. Know that she has given you birth. Maybe if she has been harsh to you, angry with you, or done something, forgive her. And you will be amazed. You can win her over. It's not difficult. Because by your goodness, you see, by your over goodness towards her, relatively it will work. Maybe exceptionally one person may be listening, but you cannot make a rule out of that. Exceptionally one may be. But if you have to change the society, the whole thinking, somebody has to stand up. And it is a chakra within you, you know, where it touches the point of void, where the left side touches the point of void. That is a center, a very important center for a mother, which guides. And do you know, it is very near the center of existence, because your existence depends on that. Supposing a child had no mother, he can never be a good husband. Very difficult for him to be a good husband. Because all the womanhood, all the kindness, the sublimity, the greatness of women is known through your mother to begin. Or a woman who does not have a mother can never be a good wife or could not be a good mother husband. So all these things are there. So we have to stop it and change it. This is the point. Sahaja yogis must know that we have to change and transform ourselves. And that is the point they feel back. We are not only responsible for our change, but we have to bring about the change in the whole world, where the society is getting destroyed. The human beings are getting destroyed, so we have to stand. So we have to change our way of thinking. What's wrong in talking to your mother? She's not going to play if you talk to her. Why don't you talk to her? Because you hate her. You want her to feel bad. I mean, you don't go and beat your mother. This is the only way you can really be harsh to her, is not to talk to her. She feels rejected by her own child, whom she has created. God must be feeling that way also, the way we reject him.
Okay, I think we're almost ready to start the live music session. Steve, I don't know if you can come on and let us know whether you're ready. When we start, you'll see that Steve is playing an incredibly complicated instrument, and it takes a little time to set it up. But are we ready to go, Steve?
Hey there, Alan. Yes, hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. Just, yeah, almost there. I've been tuning it up. It's very temperamental sometimes. And I was just on a trip to Australia, so I had to go through a lot of different changes in climate, and also the air cabin, the air pressure in the cabins of the airplanes affects the strings too. So I have to detune all of them and then retune them. And so this is my first time playing the instrument after the trip to Australia. So it's proving to be a little bit more of a process than normal. So I was thinking that maybe what we could do is talk a little bit about the time and the evolution of the instrument. I can demonstrate the instrument a little bit, and about some questions about how I came to play the instrument as well. People usually ask, how do you play such a difficult instrument, and what was your background? And of course my background was guitar, and then I can play a piece after introducing it, which is a little bit different. Usually we play the piece first and then we talk about it, but it might be better to talk about it a little bit, give people a taste of it, and then maybe play. And then after giving people a taste for it, it might be, when I play it, it might be a little bit more easy to relate to. So it's just what I'm thinking.
Sure, I must say I'm totally in awe of this instrument. It looks like incredibly difficult to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's, of course, the difficulty is these little strings here that I'm tuning, that you don't actually, ironically, you don't actually play them. Is my voice coming out okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you don't actually, because I hear a kind of a hum in the background. You don't actually play the instrument strings right here, these little ones. You just tune them, and then once they're tuned, they ring at the same resonation rate. They're called sympathetic strings. They ring at the same frequency as the main notes that you're playing. So they're called, again, sympathetic strings. And it's a nice analogy with Sahaja Yoga and meditation, because we tune our sympathetic strings, in a sense, are our chakras, and we put them in tune. And then when we go out and play, meaning we go out and work, or we go out and enjoy our families, or whatever we do in the world, the notes that we've tuned ourselves to resonate with a higher frequency. And that's really a lot about what we're doing in Sahaja Yoga meditation on a daily basis. And as you get into it more, there's techniques to clear the energy centers, which some people obviously have been doing. And I think as you go deeper into it, you learn more techniques and more ways to keep that subtle system clear. And it's the same with the instrument. You just get more and more evolved as a person who can tune the instrument in different ways. Each piece we play has a different tuning, and it's like a different mood. So there are moods for the evening, moods for the morning, and moods for afternoon. And as we tune it, the moods will differ. And there's a lot to all that. There's a lot behind that we could talk about, but that gets into more advanced understanding of Indian music. And at first I think people just want to get a taste of it and just get a taste for how it can help us meditate, and that's a good start. And then we can go into it a little deeper. But there are also connections to Western music through Indian music, which I'll go over in a little bit. And I'm going to tune a little bit more as you ask the next question.
Sure. I'm seeing that this is a fretless instrument. It has a very large fretboard, and you slide your fingers up and down on that. And I'm just wondering, it must be an incredible muscle memory thing to be able to place your fingers just exactly the right length of the string to create the note that you're looking for. I guess it's just hundreds and thousands of hours of practice that gets you there. I know that some Western instruments are fretless, like a violin or some basses, but this seems to have many more strings and really looks quite challenging.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. There's many of you have heard. There we go. So you can hear that. I just was able to tune it to the piece I want to play. But I'm hearing a kind of a humming sound. I don't know where it's coming from. Just a second. I want to adjust things a little bit. I don't know if that's coming from my end or your end.
I can't hear it.
Okay, it's coming from my end, and I just want to adjust a couple things, if you don't mind here. I'm just going to go off camera and adjust it. There's some kind of hum or something going on here.
That's better.
Yeah, that's better. I think it was on high volume, and you can see this. There you go. And make a few adjustments, like I said. Yeah, and I'll answer the question off camera for a sec. So, yeah, as you know, pilots, many of you know, pilots obviously need to be trained on without being in a plane. There's a basic training that goes on with learning the instruments, and that can be done in simulators, flight simulators. And then they have to get a certain amount of hours in the air. So it's similar to this. We have a pretty extensive training where, we're just learning the basics without really trying to play any kind of concert or ever perform. A lot of the art form of Indian music is done in a way that the teacher will encourage us to play, but not to actually perform for many years. And then that changes, when you start your performance career, there's a lot of, and in my case, I was able to play for meditations in small centers and places like that. And I was able to sort of get a lot of hours in low pressure situations. So, it wasn't like spotlighted or anything like that. I was just playing background music for meditation. And so, that and also the years of practice, hours and hours, as you say, it builds up your ability to hit the notes right on. And you have to play with your heart. So this is a different kind of, it's much like Star Wars, and those Star Wars buffs. At the end of Star Wars, the first one, or is the second one, Luke Skywalker is about to go in and he's using his instruments and computers to try to locate the area he's got to shoot the Death Star with, and at a certain point as he's going in, he puts his computer aside, and headquarters is going, well, what's going on, and he just goes without instruments, and because he hears a voice inside of him that says, "Trust the Force, Luke." And it actually kind of goes like this: "Trust the Force, Luke." And so it's much like that. This is very much about of course, practice and getting ready and having instruments, but then eventually you got to surrender to the music and to the sound and to the feeling that you have. And in that surrender to the sound itself, there's a saying my teacher says, my Sarod teacher, Ustad Amjad Ali Khan, says, Swar hi Ishwar. And Swar hi Ishwar means sound is God. Sound is just the pure sound itself is the ultimate goal and the destination. There's nothing else needed. And so it's an act of devotion. It's an act of in the West we say prayer, and all these things kind of give people the jitters because it sounds religious. But I'm a musician. I'm not religious in that sense. I don't have. I'm not any kind of religious advocate of any sort. But I can tell you one thing for sure. There's no way I could play this instrument without having something in my heart that has made me extremely devoted to finding the right sound. And the word religion actually means just to repeat. It means to repeat after one day after the next. And so from that point of view, as they say, in English they say, well, he's done it. You've got to do it religiously. Well, that just really means you've got to do it in a way that's with zeal and passion and emotion that is completely connected and loves what they do. And so in that sense, my journey with this instrument has been in that vein, with passion, with zeal, with a kind of a sense of seeking, because I've wanted to, as all musicians do, really, whether they're in Indian music or jazz, and even rock and roll, they're looking for tone, they're looking for sound, they're looking for the perfect tone, and that tuning and tone is everything. It's the ultimate. And so when we play the notes, we're really just putting our hearts into feeling out the emotion of the sound and bringing that forth, both for ourselves and for our audience. And that is very much parallel to the seeker's path, the seeker's journey. Siddhartha, there's many stories of seekers. Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha. There's On the Road. Jack Kerouac is a kind of a seeking novel whereby people are seeking something. They don't know what it is, but it's the seeking itself which is giving the pleasure. It's not this. It starts. The end goal doesn't seem to be as important. If it's Jack Kerouac and you're hitchhiking, the destination isn't really what matters so much as the journey itself. What you're experiencing during the actual journey, the people you meet, the joy you feel. And I had that kind of experience. That's why I relate to it. Is I just started to. When I was 18, I hitchhiked across Europe, and I stopped worrying about how far I would get every day. And I stopped worrying about, I didn't really have any destination in mind eventually. I was just enjoying the ride and the rides, actually. Meeting the people, the local color, Italians, the generosity of the people, the spontaneity of life. And I increasingly on that journey felt more and more joy, to the point where I had a kind of sublime experience on the back of a farmer's motorcycle on the Adriatic Sea, where I just had tears for joy. And that spiritual experience changed my life, because I thought to myself, and I was only 18, I thought, I have to find a way to live my life in order to honor this feeling. And this feeling is everything. This is it. I mean, I felt like this is it. This is the ultimate. The joy I felt at that moment. And then it was really about, where do I find this? How do I recreate this on a daily basis? What do I need to study in order to live this life? And then it went on from there. And then, the rest is history. I went to university and did a lot of things. But ultimately, my search took me to find India. It found Srimataji. It found Sahaja Yoga, and this process that we've been experiencing. And then to music, and I was already into music, but then to Sarod. So it kind of went in different levels. But that journey, and the fact that the destination isn't so much so the goal, it's just what you're experiencing that matters the most, is very much a part of what this music is. Because in order to hit those notes, as you say, just have to play from the heart and feel it.
Well, I don't want to hold up. I'm sure everybody would love to hear you play, but it sounded like you were almost answering what was going to be my second question. That was that a lot of artists, musicians, athletes talk about being in a state of flow where obviously the technique has to be there, but they're in the moment. It sounds very like this thoughtless meditation that we're talking about inside yoga. And is that something you've experienced as you play?
Yeah, I think that's right. Exactly. I mean, when it comes to concert time, uh, you have to kind of you got to throw away the script. The same with you're on camera if you're recording a monologue or anything like that. It's very Marlon Brando, method acting. It really brings that forth. It's because you have the script, you have the notes, you've got your basic knowledge of, in this case, a raga, where you play certain notes going up and certain going down. But then you've got to really got to be open to what's going to come through you. And I think in order to really play well or really perform as an athlete and win the race, or to take it to another level, as they say, a lot of artists and athletes will tell you it doesn't come from them.
Yeah.
It comes from an act of surrender. And it's the art form itself, but the art form is tied to something greater than all of us. And a lot of times people relate that to the previous athletes that have, they've stood on their shoulders in a sense. For artists, we touch the stages before we go on because we respect the stage. Or a stage is like, we're honored to be on the stage each and every time we go on. It's an act of reverence that we're thankful and grateful that we even have the opportunity to go on the stage, because we look at the stage in itself as being greater than we are. We're just one of many. And there's a great talk by Robert De Niro where he talks about the career acting and how you're all replaceable. Everybody's replaceable. The greatest actor, the greatest musician, the greatest athlete, all replaceable. The record books, the history books, they're temporary. There's always records that are going to be broken, and there's always artists that will be replaced. There's new generations. It's the cycle of time, and it's meant to be that way because we can only take a small part in greatness, and greatness comes from God, and the arts come from God. The pure athletics come from God. The art forms are just purely from somewhere else. So the more we're reverent, the more we open our hearts, the more we are devoted or grateful to that, the more usually the more successful we are. You see baseball players that hit the home run and they go like this, and a lot of times. And I mean, look, not everybody, but there is a lot of that. There is a lot of understanding that music or athletics or that high performance level is an act of surrender, really, ultimately. So I'm kind of surrendering to this instrument getting in tune. And here I think it is. So
Can you tell us what you're going to play?
Yeah, I can play a little bit now. I just have to get this string in tune and have it stay in tune. Because it's a new string, it takes time to stretch, and it's broken. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to guitar because that's going to take a minute to fix. So we'll play some guitar and I'll go from there. I have a song that is related to the things we've said, and So I played this guitar a little bit like a sarod. So we flip the script a little bit here. We're gonna do a guitar song, and then we'll bring the sarod in at the end, as opposed to doing the sarod and then the guitar. If there are any questions out there, it's a good time to put them in the chat. It's always fun to get questions as well. This is a song I wrote called One Way Ticket. And it's actually related, believe it or not, to the raga. There's a raga called Rag Body, which is a very slow-moving and beautiful raga that evolves in a way that is got a lot of deep tones. And as I was learning that raga, that piece of music, I started to write this song. And the story goes, as I just got back from Australia, this is a good song because it talks about a trip I took to Australia last summer in New York. And I left Los Angeles thinking that I was just going to make a quick trip to New York. And I bought a one-way ticket thinking, well, you know, the prices are a little high, so I'll just get a one-way ticket and then come back when the prices come down. I'll buy another one-way ticket coming down. So... and then in my infinite wisdom, I left in a bit of a hurry, and I just packed my bag and pretty much just my sarod and a few items for clothing, and headed off to New York. Played some concerts and did some meditation. There's a meditation retreat upstate New York that I went to called Kanajohari. And then during that time, I really felt the need or the impulse to go to Australia. I had air miles, but the booking was a little late, and I had already told, I have a daughter in Australia, that I'm going to come. So I booked a ticket, but the air miles were a little high, but I went ahead anyway. And I got to the night before the flight, I did my pre-flight checklist and realized everything checked out except for one thing. I didn't have my passport. So I had left going to just New York, and therefore my passport was back home. I didn't think I'd need it. Didn't plan on going on an international flight. So scrambled around a little bit, went online, and then went back to the flights and found, though my flight had been booked through San Francisco, I found a different flight going through Los Angeles with half the amount of air miles. And the story continues. It was one serendipitous thing after the other that led me to even go on this trip, let alone end up going in a better route for half as many air miles. And then a series of coincidences kept on kind of guiding me along. And all this time, it was really a sense of surrender that I had to this moment, to this trip, to this feeling I just had that I had to see my daughter, and that I knew I wouldn't have a chance to do it if I didn't take that trip now. So again, it was from the heart. It was something that was a higher calling that led me to do this kind of crazy trip, a last minute ticket one way to Australia and back. But it all worked out. And so the song called One Way Ticket is really about letting go and letting the journey flow and rolling with the twists and turns and accepting the beautiful turns that happen, the serendipitous turns that happen along the way. but sad and lonely. Her calls just brought me down. And now the lights have changed to get on out of town. Last flight to Vegas, Rocket Band, piano bar. No one to tuck me in, follow the morning star. One-way ticket to paradise. One-way ticket sure feels nice. One-way ticket, so they say. Bring you home again in a better way. Bring you home again in a better way. Lay down your weary head in the sacred, secret land. A friend from college will lend you a helping hand. Ignite the empire that lies within your soul. It's time to rein it in and follow another show. One-way ticket to paradise. One-way ticket, it sure feels nice. One-way ticket, so they say. We'll bring you home again in a better way. Bring you home again in a better way. When all that does divide us comes into the silence, you see the beauty in your Father's eyes. When all the birds do sing a song for everything, it's in your mind. Midnight portal to the painted electric dawn. A curtain rises on the theater of the twice born. She gives you wisdom, you know that all along. When the wheels touch down, she's playing your favorite song. Yeah, yeah, one-way ticket to paradise. A one-way ticket, sure, oh, it sure feels nice. One-way ticket, so they say. Bring you home again in a better way. Bring you home again in a better way. It's your one-way ticket to paradise. It's your one-way ticket sure feels nice. It's your one-way ticket. Don't think twice. It's paradise. Don't think twice.
Thank you, Steve. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
And thank you for being flexible while your road recovers from its jet lag. And
That's right. It's a jet lag Sarod. But any questions on that piece? What'd you get out of it, Alan? I mean,
I
anything
loved
that
it.
kind of stuck out? Anything that, the words, is there anything that resonated from your own journey?
I just enjoyed it a lot, and I think it was nice that you played some Western music. And that was my sort of probably my last question for you. Is that I know you've just returned from Australia, and one of the beautiful things about Sad Yoga is that it's a universal thing. Just like music is universal, we're all universal inside ourselves as human beings, and countries are kind of a myth, and cultural barriers are kind of a myth when we come down to our subtle system inside ourselves. But we know that inside yoga, Australia is associated with one of the chakras, the first chakra, the earth element chakra. And I wonder if you had any experiences while you were there that you wanted to share.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there 3 times, and each time I go, of course, there's a bit of a different experience. We have some comments in the chat, so anything you want to read out spontaneously is great.
I think we may have to wrap up soon. I think some
Yeah.
people are signing off, but
Yeah, yeah.
I think everybody enjoyed the song.
Yeah, good. There's there was pristine beauty in Australia. Actually, there's just absolutely incredible moments. There was one place I went on the south on the west coast that I call it the veranda story because we just sat on the veranda for about 20 minutes, not thinking, just looking at the view. It was a beautiful spot that looked out onto the ocean, and I just was, as we say in Sahaja Yoga, thoughtless, meaning as this meditative state just took over. I really couldn't think, couldn't move, couldn't conceive of anything, and didn't want to. And there's that kind of beauty in Australia, especially on the coastline, that really was one of the most astounding things that I noticed. It really stimulated this. There's something called Param Chaitanya, which means the energy's everywhere. And so that kind of that was one of my impressions. Absolutely, that just was stunningly beautiful, especially on the coastlines. If there's whatever you guys want to do, if there's time, I could either tune this up or we could play a little bit of the piece that there's a raga that I play in front of Srimataji that we've got a couple of versions of those that you might want to play now too. So have you got that lined up over there?
I don't know if we do.
Yeah. I think Estella has one of those, and I think that might be worthwhile because then you could see not only the Sarod played, but also the version where you see the enjoyment of the piece and how the audience was reacting and how Srimataji was reacting as well.
Okay. I think we might leave that for next time.
Yeah.
Probably should wrap up soon.
Yeah.
I don't know if there are any questions in the chat. I saw several people saying how much they enjoyed the music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody says, thank you for helping me to be in a restful state.
Yeah.
And calm. The singing and the instrument too. Santura is lovely. Thank you for the music. Beautiful song, Stephen.
One-way ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
And thank you so much, Steve. Love that song. It helped me be in paradise and more connected to Mother Earth. perfect about the trip to and enjoy